Greetings everyone. We continue our reading and discussion of Prabhuji's book Bhakti Yoga, the Path of Love. In our last meeting, we ended with the very beautiful sentence where Prabhuji speaks about the surrender. I will read it just to remind us, and we will continue from there. Prabhuji writes, "Indeed, only by surrendering yourself to your own heart can you know what religion truly is." And he continues, "Although bhakti is love of God, this path neither requires nor demands accepting divinity. Bhakti yogis do not preach about God, but about love. They posit that love is not only possible, it is the only option. At the same time, they consider any form of proselytizing unnecessary, since they know that the capacity to love is latent within us, and that the divine becomes evident and obvious when love reveals itself." So Prabhuji writes here, although bhakti is love of God, this path neither requires nor demands accepting divinity. And I feel that this is such a profound point that Prabhuji presents to us, such an integral part of the retroprogressive message. We're so accustomed to hear about faith, about belief, or from the other side where people say, how can I love God? I have no idea who God is or what God is, or the idea that I'm familiar with not necessarily arise in me this feeling of love. Why should I love God at all? And Prabhuji puts a different focus here. He states that bhakti, although, and it can be confusing, and I feel this is the beauty, and this is part of this, a different way to approach things that Prabhuji brings. Very revolutionary, very often. So when we practice sadhana bhakti, and we will go into it later in the book, or when we think about religion, the first thing that comes into our mind, that religion, the central thing in religious path, is God. It's obvious. How can be religion without God? He is the most fundamental and the central axis of the religion, a point where we focus our devotion, our attention, when we focus our aspiration. We aspire to love God, we aspire to surrender to God, we aspire to receive God's mercy. We hope and pray that divine grace will protect us and guide us in our lives. So God is the central point. And here Prabhuji say, bhakti, although bhakti is love of God, it does not require belief in God. But rather, bhakti preaches a belief of faith, and this is the very beautiful way that Prabhuji sees Shraddha, something that we commonly translate in English believe, and something, once again, that it's very integral and very important part on the path of religion. I can't follow the path of religion most of the time if I'm not a believer. And when we define between someone who follows the path of God and someone who rejects God, we say he's non-believer. This is a very common, I am a believer. And we say it with a lot of pride. I believe in God with all my heart. And Prabhuji writes here, Bhakti does not require faith in God, but rather Bhakti preaches faith in love. And I feel that this is so inspiring. And he continues that Bhakti they posit, the devotees, that love is not only possible, it is the only option. So I would like to speak a little bit about this approach to faith, to the belief, or as we call it in the path of Sanatana Dharma, Shraddha. As Prabhuji, as well as I understand, as Prabhuji explained that the path of Bhakti and the spiritual path in general, in his approach, do not require faith. It requires trust. It requires, and it is very important that we will be able to develop this trust. It requires trust in the guidance of our spiritual master. It requires trust in that, and there we begin our search. We spoke in our last meeting about this calling, something that comes from the beyond, something that comes from the depths of our heart in some moment of our lives, that calling us to seek something greater when the things that we experience in life are no longer satisfactory for us. And then, when we begin this search, we enter, as Prabhuji wrote in the past, a long night of the soul. We can no longer ignore. We can no longer live blissfully unaware of our own existence. But we have no idea where to look. And we follow the guidance, if we fortunate enough, we follow the guidance and we're able to open our hearts and we're able to surrender as much as we can and put a trust in a guide, in a fellow travelers. Prabhuji wrote in the preface that will give us direction, but we do not see yet. And this path can be frightful because in so many ways we need to leave aside everything we know. We need to leave aside our past. We need to leave aside all our ideas, all our concepts, many of our convictions about love, about life, about everything we know. We need to leave aside our comfort and follow the being that will lead us into that promised land. Prabhuji brought this beautiful example from Hebrew Revelation, where the divine guides Abraham, telling him, Lech lecha mi'artzecha, mimoledetcha, mibeit avicha, el haaretz asher areka. So, and this is our experience. This is what we're facing on this journey from what we believe, what we convicted we are. We are great believers. When we speak about faith, we often say, oh, I do not believe, or someone can say, I do not believe in anything. Oh, you are a great believer. We believe that we're this body, we believe that we're this name, we believe in everything we know about the world, we believe in our place in society. This is what guides and moves us. We believe in so many things. So we are all believers. And here we need to trust something, this call that comes from the depths of our existence, and enter this 40 years in desert, following Moses, following the enlightened being. This 40 years that people of Israel, again from the Hebrew revelation, that had to pass before entering the promised land, which, according to what Prabhuji sharing with us, lies in the depths of our heart, that profound mystery, that promised land is not a geographical place necessarily. And we know it, by the way, because it just to emphasize this, it's something that I learned from Prabhuji. There is a very beautiful way that in Hebrew tradition, when you travel in the world, when you pray, your prayers during the day, you need to face Jerusalem, which translated as a city of peace from Hebrew. And so what happens if you have no idea it's where you are and how to situate yourself in order to pray toward Jerusalem? And in a similar way, in Islam, the followers, the believers, the followers of that religion, when they pray wherever they are in the world, they direct themselves toward Mecca, the holiest site for the Prophet Muhammad and his followers. So what happens if we have no idea where Jerusalem is? And then the scripture gives us a hint. If we're not certain, we can always direct ourselves to our own heart. Because as Prabhuji explains, after all, and he spoke about it before, the divine love, existence, everything is resting there. So, Shraddha is this profound trust. God asked Abraham to leave his motherland, to leave the home of his father, and as Prabhuji explained, this symbolizes everything we know about ourselves and about life, everything that we receive from the first moment we come to this world. We need to be able to put it aside. And as Prabhuji explained, God said to Abraham, go to yourself. This is how it's translated from Hebrew, lech lecha. Go to yourself, which we have no idea where we are. It's such an absurd. We all feel, okay, I'm here. This is the most essential experience that we have. No one, unless we're completely unconscious, we're constantly aware of it in some way, but we have no idea who we are and where we are. And if someone asks us, and this is the absurd of our situation, that we usually don't like to look at that direction, is that we do so many efforts in life, we walk in life, and we have everything mapped out for us, who we need to be, what we need to achieve, what is good, what is bad. But there is a most fundamental, basic question that none of us, or most of us, will not be able to answer. If someone will ask you, okay, wonderful, so these are your ideas, this is what you love, this is what you hate, this is what you aspire to be, this is where you want to reach, but who you are? And if we're really honest, we have no slightest idea who we are. So when God guides Abraham saying, go to yourself, where will I go? I have no idea who I am. No slightest idea. I know my name, I know everything. about this entity, or I think that I know, and I firmly believe that this is what I am. But I have no idea. The most fundamental thing, who is this one that wants all those things, I have no idea. And I have no idea where to go. So this requires a profound trust, not faith, not belief, but trust. And as Prabhuji writes here, Bhakti does not ask us to believe in God. We have no idea what God is. We can believe in some concept. We can adapt certain idea, and we can agree or disagree with that. That's why one of the reasons that Prabhuji wrote in the preface that he is not interested in proselytizing or convincing anyone of anything, because this is the pointless. And he emphasized this here in a different way, because you cannot, there is no way to show or to explain or to convince someone who is oblivious or blind to his own existence. It's pointless if person does not have this calling, this profound calling that would not leave us alone and would push us to search, will give us this courage to leave gradually everything we know and to embark on this, often many years can be a lifetime, and this journey through the darkness, following this belief that the reality is here, is there somewhere. It should be, because this is the very essence of our existence. And as Prabhuji says, that love is real. And he writes it in a very radical way. It's not only possible, but it's the only option. And in the same way as we spoke before, when Prabhuji speaks about love, it comes as a synonym to, he wrote previously that it is something that real within us. Love is our reality. And although it feels completely out of reach at this moment for most of us, but if love is our reality, as Prabhuji writes here, it's not only possible, we cannot be anything else than that. And if we cannot be anything else than love, than divinity, than consciousness, than reality, whichever way, life itself, as in Hebrew revelation, one of the beautiful names of the divine is El Chai V'Kayam, which is the living, existing God. So we are alive. We cannot deny that. We can deny God, we can deny whatever we want, but we cannot deny that ourselves, we are alive. And as Prabhuji writes here, and if we are love, if love is what we are, it cannot be any other way. It's the only option. And I know that it's so difficult for us because we're completely blind. We're completely oblivious of that. And we have to go through this long night of the soul, following the light of the Master, following this guidance, developing our surrender, growing in our shraddha, in our trust, that this is the only option. But this has to come from that calling, and that's why Prabhuji continues here, as I understand, and writes, at the same time, the devotees or bhaktas consider any form of proselytizing unnecessary. there is no point. If we do not feel this calling, if we do not, if our reality, if love doesn't call us from the depths of our hearts, there is nothing and no one in the world can convince us to do the changes or to embark on this journey. So it's pointless. And on the other hand, as Prabhuji writes here, they see this proselytizing unnecessary because they know, and we speak about the pure devotee, someone who realizes his real nature. So he knows that the capacity to love is latent within us. It is there. If it is our reality, it has to be. And not only that, this is the beauty of this path of Bhakti, as Prabhuji writes here, and that divine becomes evident and obvious when love reveals itself. In the Bhagavad Gita, 11:54, Lord Sri Krishna says to his devotee and friend Arjuna, Bhaktya tu ananyaya shakya aham evam vidorjuna jnatum drashtum cha tatvena pravishtum cha parantapa. By undivided love, only by love, I can be seen, I can be perceived as I am, standing before you. You can see me directly. And only through love, you can enter the mystery of my understanding. And in the way I understand this, Prabhuji explained that's emphasized just that only when we love, and we have this experience even in our daily life, we only know, Prabhuji brought this beautiful example, that a mailman know your name and know your address, but he doesn't know you. Your mechanic knows very well your vehicle, but he doesn't know you. The only people in your life that you can say, and again it's very limited, and we discovered throughout our lifetime, that really know you, these are people that they love you. So even in our very limited experience, the only way to know about something, as Prabhuji so beautifully says that if you want to know the plants, you don't need to study botanics. You need to love them. The only one who really know them is one who really love them. And not by chance, the very name philosophy, translated as a love for knowledge, a love for wisdom. You will only know things in this life that you love. And according to Lord Sri Krishna and according to what Prabhuji writes here, we will only know the divine when we're able to open our heart and to love. So this question that people ask, so how can I love God if I don't know Him? This is the answer. You don't need to know God. You need to, for the love in your heart will be revealed. And when this latent love, as Prabhuji writes here, that every single one of us right now, wherever we are in life, possess, will shine, everything will become clear. We will know what God is. We will know First, who we are, which is maybe much more important. And then we will arrive to the promised land. Jaya Prabhuji.